there's a perfect spot on the right there. So I'm going to be reversing up a hill in between two cars on a busy road. So I'm going to do a U-turn at the roundabout here so I can park on the correct side of the road. Now, keeping a very close on my mirrors, so I'm going to have to tell any traffic behind when we're pulling over to park. So I'm going to pop a left signal on and then brake early to warn them I'm slowing. Really important to signal left and brake early here. If you didn't signal or you braked late, the car behind would follow you too closely and then they might not be able to go round you, and if they're still behind you, you might not be able to reverse back to park. Checking towards the left to get reasonably near the parked vehicle. Put my signal back on to confirm. Into reverse gear. I'm going to use my handbrake here so I can get my feet ready without rolling. Checking all round. He started to overtake, so I'll let him overtake me. So I don't want to start reversing and swing the front of my car into the traffic as they overtake. So gas and biting point. Checking round. Looking behind, then starting to steer in. Just taking it nice and slow. The oncoming traffic isn't a problem at the moment, as my front's not going to swing out that far. Getting to a good angle about here. Straightening the wheels, checking round, they're still waiting behind. At this point I'm reversing in a straight line, so if any traffic overtook me, I am technically reversing away from them. However, I tend to prefer to pause to make the overtaking traffic feel more comfortable. If I kept getting overtaken constantly, then I would just start to reverse back very slowly, being very cautious. The only time it is absolutely vital to stop for overtaking traffic is when you're steering into the space, as the front of the car will swing out. And now, I'm going to pause for them, balancing my pedals to let them pass. I don't want to move when they're going past me because that's going to scare them. Checking behind for pedestrians that could step behind. Backing up slowly, leaning up to see where the curb is. I'm getting quite near the curb at the back, so I'm going to steer away from the curb, full lock. And then backing up a bit more. I might nudge the curb, but not a major concern. I can always adjust that. I'm just going to pause just for the lorry overtaking. And I'm not going to back up anymore, so my back wheel's getting pretty near the curb, so I'm going to go forwards and steer full lock left. So it's going to roll forward, so what I need to do is ease off the foot brake. So I'm in first gear. Just going to ease off the foot brake, just check it's safe, there's no one overtaking. And just ease off the brake and steer full lock to the left. And then 1.5 turns takes me back to straight. Going to put the handbrake on, go into reverse gear, and just back up a touch, just to give myself a bit more room from the car in front. So checking all round for any pedestrians that might walk behind me, quite likely to happen here. Gas and biting point, handbrake off. I'm going to balance my pedals to let this one overtake. I don't want to move when it's going past me, ideally. So after this, I'm going to put a handbrake back on, so there's quite a bit of traffic coming. I ideally don't want to move when they're going past me. I might be forced into it though. No, it looks like it's clear now. So I'm going to, actually there is a car overtaking. I'm going to just carry on. So I'm in the parking bay now. So as long as I go really slowly and just back up straight, the cars overtaking aren't a huge problem. Just trying to get myself in the middle, looking out my rear window to judge the distance, not just relying on the parking sensors. And then I'm parked. So that was parallel parking up a hill on a busy road. The key skills you need to master that are really good clutch control, needs to be superb, you need to be really calm and confident with the parallel parking technique, and your observations need to be absolutely spot on. Because when you start backing in, the front of your car swing out, and they're very likely to be cars overtaking you. You don't want to swing your front out and hit a car as it's overtaking you. Or it's very likely people will walk behind you as you're reversing into the space. So great clutch control, great steering and accuracy required, and great observations are required. One of the biggest skills you'll need to be able to achieve a parallel park up a hill is brilliant clutch control. So the best thing to do is go to a quiet road like this and practice it until you're absolutely brilliant at it. So what you should be able to do is do your gas and biting point. Notice when you get the bite, the bonnet drops. You should be able to do that. So when you release the handbrake, the car stays still. If you're struggling with that, so you're rolling back and forward, you're probably not ready to try a parallel park on a hill yet. You should then be able to move back slowly and then control the speed with the clutch, be able to pause it to let traffic pass like this car here, and be able to multitask by looking around while controlling those pedals. Those pedals should be completely natural. If you have the temptation to come off the gas to slow, you're not ready to try parallel parking up a hill. As if you try to come off the gas to slow, oh, the car will just stall. So you must be able to keep the revs going and use the clutch to control the speed. So you can hear the revs, but I'm using the clutch to control that while checking round. I press the clutch down the tiniest bit to balance and pause the car. Bring the clutch up a tiniest bit to make it move back, keeping the gas constant. One of the biggest things you have to overcome as well is being calm with other traffic. You have to bear in mind, the road I just did the parallel park on, I was not causing any delays to the traffic, as the road was wide enough for them to overtake me. And when they did start to overtake me, I paused and let them overtake me, so not to worry them and so not to swing the front of my car into them. If you're going to get concerned by the other traffic, you shouldn't be practicing parallel park on a really busy road, as your clutch control could go, which is going to be a big problem on a hill. On a narrow road, the other traffic will have to wait for you. There will be no space for them to manoeuvre around you. So you will be delaying them for a short period of time, but it is a very short period of time. I in fact once had a lady who was very concerned about delaying other traffic, so we decided to time her parallel parking. Not as a test, but just as an exercise. We did it on a busy road and timed it. And at the end I said, how long do you think that parallel park took? She said maybe 4 to 5 minutes, and it actually took her 50 seconds. So that's from the moment she stops next to the parked car to the moment she's in the space and the traffic could then overtake her. 50 seconds, that's all it took. So you're not delaying the traffic for a particularly long period of time. Also consider the other traffic appreciate that you are parking. They have had to park themselves as well, so they may be understanding. As long as you're confident in the skill and you can do it within that amount of time. If it's still taking you 5 minutes to be able to parallel park the car, then not the best idea to practice it on a busy road. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you check out the links in the description where you'll find some more details about effective observations when reversing, as well as a technique I use for parallel parking, and also how I judge the distance when reversing back to the distance behind me, so how far I can go to the parked car behind me. That's all in the links below.